Hey, this is Wana, and this is BGR's review of Astro on PS5. How I played. I purchased a physical version and I got the Platinum Trophy. About 4 hours of my 30-hour playthrough was on my PlayStation Portal. Story score, 16 out of 20. Intro. The game begins with a short cutscene of an alien bully destroying a perfectly good PlayStation 5 console. The game then swiftly gets you into the gameplay. Your goal is to fix the broken PS5 and save as many bots as you can along the way, and finally dealing with this alien bully. Cutscenes. Cutscenes are well crafted and do not overstay their welcome. A lot of them are there for fan service, and they really nail it. Returning to a level, however, after you have completed it, and not being able to skip the cutscene is very annoying. Games should not force us to sit through these again and again if we don't want to. World building. The game is set in a fictional world where there's a lot of robot versions of PlayStation game characters that have decided to be really excited about being saved by the main robot character. The world feels like a cuddly and cute version of the PlayStation games world the characters are from as you go to each one. Overall story. The story is engaging enough to keep the player interested and understand what the goal is, but I will say that the whole rebuild the PS5 by finding all its main components scattered all over the galaxies felt a tad lazy and a bit, we did this last time. This is not meant to be another tech demo, right? Audio, 15 out of 15. Ambience. Astrobot nails the atmosphere in its levels with its inspiring and appropriate music. This is partially due to the subtle sounds coming from the DualSense controller, which are optional and can be turned off, of course. Boss music. Most bosses have their own music, and the songs add suspense and a sense of urgency to the fights. Sound design. Each sound is so well done. Astrobot walking across cut bamboo sounds so real, and I even found myself appreciating the sound of Astrobot being electrocuted. Again, the DualSense being a lovely cherry on top here. Performance. 10 out of 10. Frame rate. There are no modes to change here at all, but the game runs at a locked 60 as reflected in our FPS test. Stability. I had no crashes at all and no issues with stability. The game ran so well for me that I almost didn't even bother with the frame test. Gameplay. 35 out of 40. Controls. Controls are intuitive, responsive, and the DualSense has such great implementation here. Thankfully, we didn't have to blow into the controller this Astro game. One gripe with the controls was that the camera seemed to be trying way too hard to assume where you wanted it to be at any point, especially during a jump or turning around a corner. This I found very frustrating. Mechanics. Being a full game sequel to a tech demo free for all PS5 owners, I had high expectations for the game's mechanics. Again, glad no more blowing into this controller. Most levels have an add-on pack that you will need to utilize in order to complete the level, and each was quite fun to use. One level has you basically becoming Ant-Man, giving you the ability to jump from small to large on the fly. This mechanic was one of my favourites. Pacing. The pacing of each level was great, with most levels taking around 10 minutes to complete. Shorter challenge levels were mostly done in 1 minute or less, and these challenge levels were simply side content and completely avoidable. UE. The UI was extremely basic, but there was no time when I felt like it needed to be more. The menu was also minimal. Being a game for kids and adults alike, I do wish it was harder to reset a save file, as I did hear from a friend that their child reset their game progress. Yikes. Boss quality. The bosses are well designed, all to be quite unique and offer a good challenge without having too harsh of a difficulty spike at any point. Some boss battles grant you lives, and this allowed the game to push the difficulty up a little bit more for that fight, while still being forgiving. Great move by the developer. Enemy variety. There are mostly the same few enemies used and reskinned for each level, but there are some more rare enemies that I saw and I was like, oh, I remember that one. Gameplay variety. With the add-on attachments granted in a lot of the levels were kept feeling fresh. But thinking of a game that Astrobot reminded me of during my playtime, Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped on PlayStation 1, I will point out that you had levels where you rode a jet ski or a motorbike, and Astrobot didn't really have any of these kinds of levels. But it did have weird tasks like cleaning the side of a PlayStation 5 plate and slotting in RAM into RAM slots. Not really my cup of tea, but I understand that some kids and or Power Wash Simulator fans will love this kind of thing. Replayability. The game gives reason to replay levels to collect all the bots and puzzle pieces, but that's assuming you didn't clear them all in one run. But other than that, there's no speedrun option, no alternative modes to give the player any real incentive to replay levels. I do suspect there will be a small amount of content to be added over time, but we review what we have at Base Game Reviews and not what might be added in the future. Overall, 91 out of 100. Incredible. Final thoughts. Astrobot is a breath of fresh air, as a lot of development studios seem to have forgotten what gaming is fundamentally about: having fun. More developers need to understand this. While Astrobot is really catering to kids and more casual gamers, judging by the gameplay difficulty, there are some optional, harder levels for gamers who want a bit more of a challenge. Go check out Astrobot. If you stuck around this long, we thank you for watching. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Also, make sure to check out the latest reviews at basegamereviews.com, and also check out our podcast that premieres every Friday at 5 PM PST on the channel.